Okay, well, to start, my name is Marshall Husky. I'm 27 years old. I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I've always had a dream of driving professionally, and this is my journey to Formula Drift, hopefully. I'm going to chase my dreams, and if you'd like to be a part of the ride, then welcome here. In 2012, I was diagnosed with a tumor on my pineal gland in the center of your brain. Fast forward to 2015, and I had 3 tumors as well as the pineal gland itself removed from my brain. I've also had my parathyroid glands removed because there was tumors growing off of those as well. I have osteoporosis, and I've recently been diagnosed with a genetic condition called Marfan syndrome. So life is a constant battle with health, and throughout that I've realized how short life can be. So I'm going to give it my everything to achieve my dreams of driving. I've attended Formula 3 Academy at Sonoma Raceway down in California, but unfortunately didn't have the funds to continue pursuing open wheel Formula racing. I started drifting about 2 years ago through Marshall Husky Racing, and my racing manager bought me a 240SX S13 hatchback, which I proceeded to write off on a cement wall at the racetrack. Fast forward a little bit, I ended up getting a 1989 S13 coupe, which you see behind me. I transferred all the parts over, including the SR20 motor, did a bit of a build at that point, seam stitched the chassis, etc., but I'll get into that later in the video. So now to show the motor that's going to go in, here we have a 2002 LQ4, which I plan on leaving stock internally. I have a Muncie 4-speed transmission which will be going in, as you see right here. Bit about the car, it's a 1989 240SX. I tubed it after I stoved it in the front left there. I stoved it in. You might be able to see some remnants of what happened here. Then proceeded to tube it very hastily and quickly. I've got DEI gold heat shielding on the firewall, Husky rack for the quicker lock to lock. I will be running an external reservoir for the clutch master. When I ordered my hydraulic handbrake, I originally ordered too big of a master cylinder for it. So I've ordered the proper one, and we'll be using an external reservoir on this cylinder to make it work. The handbrake itself is a nameless performance. I've got a Sparco Pro 2000 seat with a Takata harness. The harness will have to be replaced at some point because it's an ASM harness that's designed to be used without a cage. Essentially, the reason why you use that is you have this little tearaway strap here, so in the event of a big impact, these threads rip out, and it allows your head to essentially flex forward instead of the roof coming down on you if you don't have a cage. Under here, I've got a Sparco steering wheel, the all-essential Hello Kitty floor mat. So for the rear end, I've got a lot of work left to do. More cutting before I can start beginning. I'll be trimming this back to where is allowable for FD. You're allowed to go to the rearmost suspension pickup points. I will be cutting the rear parcel shelf out, but leaving this here as it's mandatory to have this in FD as of 2017. I plan on doing a vertical rear mount radiator that will sit in here in sort of a box window cutout, which will be designed along with the firewall. So I mentioned earlier that I blew up my SR20, so I'll just show you the carnage as a result of too much rev limiter. So I cracked the block on that side, cracked it right open, it burst open, not even at a seam. The girdle is broken in multiple different places, as you can see there. The oil pickup tube little block filter thing was ripped right off and just bouncing around. And then as you can see on this side, that's a big hole in the block. There was a rod sticking out of there when I first took it apart. The subframe risers are machined to the max allowable for formula drift. They have to be within a certain tolerance of the stock height for your subframe. They're made by a company called BCWorks, who has also made my angle kit. Extended LCAs by 1 3/4 of an inch. I might go bigger at some point just so that I can use a smaller spacer on the front wheel. Don't mind those stock struts, those are just there as placeholders for the moment. I have K-Sport coilovers that will be going in. I have an extra set of top hats there to Frankenstein them together so that I have a full good working set. Over here we have some of the parts that will be going in my car. I've got an Innovate AFR gauge, glow shift oil pressure gauge, and some no-name boost gauge that my buddy was nice enough to donate to me. I have a Chevrolet GM mini race starter. Unfortunately, that adapter plate does not fit on the LQ4, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to use it or not. My good buddy Ian, who you'll be meeting in a following video, has donated this dual spall fan shroud that was off of a C63 AMG, so I'm very, very excited about that. I've got a radiator that's slightly bigger than the shroud dimensions, so I'm not sure if I'm going to have to do some modification to the shroud. I have a Blitz coolant overflow, AEM boost referenced pressure gauge, fuel pressure regulator. I've got a fuel pressure gauge with my name on it, which I thought was really cool. This is the shift knob that I'll be using. I have the throwout bearing for the Muncie transmission, which I'm not sure if it will be able to be used or not, as I'm not sure if there's room for an external slave, so I might have to go to a hydraulic internal slave style throwout bearing. This fuel cell is from Speedway Motors. It is a 12-gallon. I'm going to have to plumb in a return with a bulkhead fitting into the top of it for EFI applications. Here we have the oil filter relocate kit to be used with this pump pickup, which I'll probably have to modify. Here is the pan. It is a garagistic pan, I believe, that was built for an a BMW swap, but it'll work for my application. It fits. Here I have my billet aluminum solid subframe mounts, solid motor mounts, which will attach to these big beefy steel plates here. I had to do a little bit of Frankensteining to be able to get this trans and motor in. So that is a flywheel. The dowel pins are going to have to be removed, as the pressure plate that I have does not have provisions for them. Here's the pressure plate itself, along with a cheapo 6-puck clutch, which I hope is going to hold up. I've got a new Felpro gasket for the oil pan. Here is the master cylinder reservoir relocate that I mentioned earlier. You can kind of see, there's my bumper. I've still got to paint it gloss to match the rest of the car. That being a brief little preview of the car and things to come, now it's time to show you the part that I'm absolutely most excited about. That's right, 2 genuine Chinese Chuchi boys. I got GT35 replica turbos. You can see how good of a quality they are by the surge ports not going actually all the way through. So those are just for decoration. I've thought about drilling them all the way through, but I'm not even sure that I want to go that far. They're cheap, so there's that. I did spring an extra couple bucks for a 1.06 AR ratio rear housing, just to avoid any chance of choking out the 3 liters of displacement that each turbo will be getting. When I bought these, I sprung for the 4-bolt rear because it was cheaper. However, they sent me V-bands, which was really cool. So that makes plumbing easier. And here, last but not least, sitting on my trailer, we have about roughly 130 feet of 1.5 inch by 0.120 wall DOM tubing. For Formula Drift, the minimum wall thickness you're allowed to use is 0.095. I wanted to step it up to something a bit thicker just for safety's sake. I'm a pretty fragile guy. So that's my brief introduction. I'm sure there's things I'm forgetting, and I apologize if this is hard to follow or anything like that. I'm a little bit of a scatterbrain. And this is my first time doing this videos type of thing. So I hope you guys like it. I hope you enjoy it. Like I say, if you want to continue on supporting the Dreams team and Marshall Husker Racing, then please stay tuned for more build updates and how-tos and seeing me actually do some work rather than just pointing at things.